certain aspects of life are within our control, while others are not. Our thoughts, feelings, and actions are ours to manage, encompassing our impulses, desires, and aversions. Conversely, our physical bodies, possessions, reputations, and public roles are beyond our control, representing elements that do not stem from our own actions. The aspects we can control are inherently free and unrestrained, while those we cannot control are vulnerable and subject to external influences. It is crucial to recognize that mistaking what is inherently constrained for freedom, or believing that what is not ours belongs to us, will lead to frustration, unhappiness, and misplaced blame on others. However, if you acknowledge that only what is truly yours is yours, and accept that what is not yours remains outside your ownership, you will find yourself unencumbered by coercion or resentment. You will act willingly, devoid of enemies, and immune to harm, as you will not perceive any threat to your well-being. As you pursue lofty aspirations, keep in mind that achieving them requires a commitment to letting go of certain pursuits entirely and deferring others. If you attempt to chase both significant goals and the desire for wealth or public status, you may find yourself unable to attain even the latter, as the pursuit of the former is paramount to achieving true freedom and happiness. From the outset, practice responding to each challenging situation with the understanding that this is merely an appearance, not the reality it suggests. Evaluate these situations using your established criteria, particularly focusing on whether they pertain to what is within your control or what is not. If a situation relates to something beyond your control, be prepared to assert, "This holds no significance for me." It is important to understand that desire encourages you to attain what you wish for, while aversion seeks to prevent you from encountering what you dislike. A person who does not achieve their desires is considered unfortunate, whereas one who experiences what they are averse to faces misfortune. If your aversions are limited to what is unnatural among the things within your control, you will avoid those aversions. However, if you are averse to illness, death, or poverty, you will likely encounter misfortune. Therefore, it is advisable to detach your aversions from matters beyond your control and focus them on what is unnatural within your realm of influence. Additionally, it is wise to eliminate desire for the time being. Desiring what is beyond your control will lead to misfortune, and you may miss out on the beneficial desires that are within your reach. Instead, rely on impulse and its opposite, rejection, but do so with caution and without excessive effort. When it comes to things that are appealing or valuable to you, be sure to identify them clearly, starting with the smallest items. For instance, if you have an affection for a jug, acknowledge it by saying, "I am fond of a jug." This way, if it breaks, you will not be distressed. Similarly, when you embrace your child or spouse, recognize that you are kissing a human being. This perspective will help you cope with their eventual loss. It is essential to recognize that desire compels you to pursue what you wish to achieve, while aversion aims to shield you from what you wish to avoid. A person who fails to fulfill their desires is deemed unfortunate, while one who encounters what they are averse to experiences misfortune. If your aversions are confined to what is unnatural among the things you can control, you will successfully avoid those aversions. Conversely, if you are averse to illness, death, or poverty, you are likely to face misfortune. Thus, it is prudent to separate your aversions from matters outside your control and direct them towards what is unnatural within your sphere of influence. Furthermore, it is advisable to temporarily set aside desire. Yearning for what is beyond your control can lead to misfortune, and you may overlook the positive desires that are attainable. Instead, engage with impulse and its counterpart, rejection, but do so with care and without undue strain. When considering anything that attracts or pleases you, make it a point to specify what it is, starting with the smallest items. Before you engage in any action, take a moment to reflect on the nature of that action. For instance, if you plan to go for a bath, consider the typical experiences associated with baths. There may be splashing, jostling, rudeness, and even theft. By acknowledging these possibilities from the outset and affirming, "I wish to enjoy a bath while aligning my choices with nature," you will approach the experience with greater confidence. This mindset will prepare you to respond calmly if any disruptions occur, allowing you to remind yourself, "I aimed for this experience, but I also sought to maintain my alignment with nature, which means I should not let disturbances upset me. It is not the events themselves that disturb us, but rather our perceptions of those events. For instance, death is not inherently frightening, as evidenced by Socrates' perspective, but the belief that it is frightening is what truly causes distress. Therefore, when we feel thwarted or upset, we should refrain from blaming others and instead examine our own judgments. An untrained individual tends to blame external factors when faced with difficulties. A somewhat educated person may turn the blame inward, while a truly educated person refrains from blaming either themselves or others. Refrain from taking pride in any superiority that does not originate from you. If a horse were to exclaim, "I am beautiful," it might be tolerable. However, if you were to declare, "I have a beautiful horse," your joy would stem from the horse's attributes rather than your own. So, what is it that belongs to you? It is your approach to interpreting experiences. Therefore, whenever you align your perceptions with nature, take joy in that alignment, when your boat is anchored during a journey, if you wish to collect fresh water, you might gather a small shellfish and a vegetable along the way. However, it is essential to remain attentive to the boat and frequently scan the surroundings in case the captain calls for you. Should he call, you must abandon those items to avoid being left behind and treated like livestock. This analogy applies to life as well. If you are blessed with a spouse and a child instead of mere vegetables and shellfish, do not let that distract you. When the captain calls, prioritize your return to the boat without hesitation. If you are older, stay close to the boat to ensure you are not left behind when the call comes. During a voyage, when your vessel is anchored, you may wish to gather fresh water and perhaps a small shellfish or vegetable. It is crucial, however, to keep your focus on the boat and to look around often in case the captain summons you. If he does call, you must relinquish those items to avoid being left behind, akin to livestock. This principle mirrors life. If you are given a spouse and a child instead of simple provisions, do not let that deter you. When the captain calls, prioritize your return to the boat without looking back. If you are advanced in age, remain close to the boat to ensure you are not left behind when the call arrives. To achieve progress, it is essential to relinquish thoughts such as, "If I ignore my possessions, I will have nothing to sustain myself," or, "If I do not discipline my servant, he will misbehave." It is preferable to face hunger without distress and fear than to live in turmoil amidst abundance. The servant's misbehavior is less detrimental than your own state of unrest. Start with minor issues. If a small amount of oil is spilled or a little wine is taken, remind yourself, "This is the cost of peace, this is the cost of maintaining my composure." Nothing is obtained without a price. When summoning the servant, remember that he may not pay attention, and even if he does, he might not fulfill your requests. However, your emotional state should not hinge on his actions. If you seek advancement, allow others to perceive you as oblivious to external matters, and refrain from seeking a reputation for understanding them. If others regard you as significant, question your self-assessment. Balancing your choices with nature while managing external factors is challenging. Focusing on one will likely lead to neglecting the other. It is unwise to wish for your loved ones, children, spouse, and friends, to live indefinitely, as this places expectations on circumstances beyond your control. The same applies to desiring perfection in your servant. It is unrealistic to expect bad behavior to be anything other than what it is. However, you can strive to attain what you genuinely desire. A true master is one who governs their wants and aversions, whether to acquire or relinquish them. Therefore, anyone who wishes to be free must refrain from wanting or avoiding what lies in the hands of others, otherwise, they will inevitably become a slave.